She sent me a selfie with another guy, captioned, "Finally upgraded to a real man. Thanks for funding my freedom trip, loser." While on a vacation I paid for. I didn't reply. Just sent a screenshot to her parents. Her whole family is blowing up my phone, but I'm busy booking my future. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Sup Reddit. I still can't believe I'm writing this, but I need to get it off my chest somewhere. This whole mess happened about 3 weeks ago, and I'm still processing it. Figured you guys might have some perspective on whether I handled this right or completely lost my mind. So I've, 28 male, been working construction project management for about 5 years now. Not the most glamorous job, but it pays decent, and honestly, I like coordinating all the moving parts on job sites. I've been married to Beatrice, 26 female, for 2 years, together for 4 total. She works as a marketing coordinator for some mid-sized company downtown that does marketing for local businesses and restaurants. About 2 months ago, she started mentioning this new guy Cameron more often in her daily work stories. Cameron suggested this new campaign strategy for the Italian place downtown. Cameron and I are working late on the Johnson account. Cameron thinks we should try this new approach with the social media content. Nothing that seemed weird at the time, just normal work collaboration stuff. From what she told me, he'd been at the company for about a year, works in the same department as her doing similar marketing coordinator stuff. She said he transferred from their sister office in another state and was really motivated and brought fresh perspective to their team. Again, nothing that set off alarm bells. New guy wants to make a good impression. Makes sense. The red flag started maybe 3 weeks before everything went to hell. Beatrice began staying late more often, sometimes until 8 or 9 p.m. She'd come home talking about how Cameron had these great ideas for improving their marketing approach and how they were really clicking as a team. Started saying stuff like, "He's really ambitious, not like most people our age who just coast through work and don't care about advancing their careers." The business trip thing came up about 2 weeks ago during dinner. She seemed excited when she brought it up. Said her boss was sending her and a few other people to some marketing conference in Miami. 3 days, all expenses paid, networking opportunities with industry professionals, the whole deal. This could really help my career, Evan. Cameron thinks I should start positioning myself for a senior role, and this conference could give me the connections I need. There it was again. Cameron thinks this, Cameron says that. But I trusted her. We're married, we just bought a house together, we're talking about starting a family in the next couple years. Why would I think anything was up? Plus, she seemed genuinely excited about the professional opportunities. The night before she left, she was packing, and I offered to help carry stuff upstairs. She had this whole new vacation wardrobe laid out on our bed. Seemed like a lot for a business conference. But what do I know about marketing events? Maybe they have pool parties or beach networking sessions or whatever? You sure you need all this vacation stuff for meetings? I asked while folding some of her t-shirts. The conference has networking events by the pool and on the beach. Plus, there's downtime between sessions, and I want to enjoy the weather. Cameron says Miami has amazing beaches, and it would be stupid not to take advantage since the company's paying for everything. Made sense, I guess. Work hard, play hard, right? She seemed happy and excited about the opportunity. I was actually proud of her for getting selected to go. Figured it meant her boss saw potential in her. She left Friday morning around 6 a.m. I was already up getting ready for work. Gave her a kiss goodbye, told her to have fun and learn lots. She said she'd text me when she landed and keep me updated on how everything was going. That was the last normal conversation we had as a married couple. Everything that happened after that Friday morning changed everything between us forever. She texted me around noon saying she landed safe and the weather's beautiful. Then radio silence most of the day. I figured she was busy with conference registration and getting settled at the hotel. Made sense. First day of these things is usually pretty hectic. Friday night, I grabbed some takeout Chinese food and watched Netflix. Try calling her around 9 p.m. just to check in and see how the first day went. Goes straight to voicemail. Figured maybe she was at some networking dinner or welcome reception that ran late. Left a message saying, "Hope everything's going well and I love her." Saturday morning, I'm up early doing yard work. I'm about halfway through digging out the old fence posts when my phone buzzes around 2 p.m. Instagram notification that Beatrice posted a story. I'm covered in sweat and dirt. Hands are filthy, but I figure I'll take a quick break and see what she's up to at the conference. I open Instagram expecting to see some boring conference center or maybe a picture of her name badge or whatever. Instead, I see this selfie of her and some guy at what looks like a fancy beachfront restaurant. There's palm trees in the background, ocean view, the whole tropical vacation setup. She's wearing this blue sundress I've never seen before. Hair all done up, makeup perfect. Looks amazing, honestly. But here's the thing. The guy has his arm around her waist, and they both have these huge smiles like they're having the time of their lives. The caption says, "Finally found my adventure partner," with a bunch of heart emojis and airplane emojis. I just stood there in my backyard staring at this picture for probably 5 minutes. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. This doesn't look like any business conference I've ever heard of. It looks like a couple's vacation. The guy looked familiar, but I couldn't place him at first. Then it hit me. She'd shown me pictures from company holiday parties and team events before. This was definitely Cameron. Same face, same build, same cocky smile that I remembered thinking looked douchey in the group photos. I screenshot that picture immediately. Something in my gut told me I needed to save it before it disappeared in 24 hours. Good thing too, because that screenshot became crucial evidence later. But I'm getting ahead of myself. At that moment, I'm just confused and starting to panic. What the hell is going on? Why is my wife posting vacation pictures with another man? Where's this business conference she's supposed to be at? That's when I remembered something important. Last month, when we were going through our finances and setting up automatic bill payments, I noticed we had alerts set up on our joint credit card for any purchases over $500. I'd been getting notifications all week but hadn't really looked at them closely since Beatrice said her company was covering all the travel expenses. I dropped my shovel right there in the dirt and pulled up our bank app on my phone. Started scrolling through the recent charges with this sick feeling in my stomach. Holy shit, $1,247 at American Airlines for 2 round-trip tickets to Miami. $847 for 3 nights at something called Ocean View Resort Miami Beach. $312 at a restaurant called Ocean Prime. $156 at a place called Nikki Beach Club. $89 at some rooftop bar called Sugar. All on our personal credit card. All charges from the last 3 days. Every single charge was on our joint account. Not a company card, not her personal card that I'm not on. Our money. The money we've been saving to maybe start a family, to put toward a new car, to build our future together. She'd been lying about the whole thing. There was no company-sponsored conference. She was using our money I earned busting my back on construction sites, to fund a romantic vacation with Cameron. I called the resort directly, just to make absolutely sure I wasn't misunderstanding something. Maybe there was some explanation I wasn't seeing. "Hi, this is Evan Wilson. I'm trying to confirm a reservation that should be under my wife's name, Beatrice Wilson." "Yes, sir. I show a reservation for Ms. Wilson checking in Friday, checking out Monday. Ocean View Suite with king bed. 2 guests. Would you like me to make any changes to the reservation?" 2 guests. Ocean View Suite. King bed. Our money. I thanked her and hung up. Just sat there on my back steps for probably 20 minutes trying to process this. My wife of 2 years had looked me in the eye, lied about going to a business conference, stolen our money to pay for a vacation with another man, and then posted pictures basically announcing to the world that she'd found someone better and she wanted me to see it. You don't post a caption like, "Finally found my adventure partner," and tag your location without wanting to send a message. The worst part? I'd been proud of her. I thought she was advancing her career and taking advantage of professional opportunities. I'd been bragging to my coworkers about how my wife got selected for this important conference. Meanwhile, she was playing house with Cameron on Miami Beach with my money. I tried calling her cell phone, straight to voicemail again. Left a message asking her to call me back. Tried to keep my voice steady. Didn't want to blow up her phone with accusations until I had all the facts. But deep down, I already knew what was happening. Saturday evening, I'm pacing around the house trying to figure out what to do next. Part of me wanted to jump in my truck and drive straight to Miami to confront them. Part of me wanted to call her parents and tell them what their daughter was doing. Part of me just wanted to pretend I never saw that Instagram post and hope it was all some big misunderstanding. But then I looked at that screenshot again. Her smile, his arm around her, that caption. There was no misunderstanding here. She was telling me exactly where I stood in her priorities. That's when I started making some phone calls. Because if she wanted to play games with our marriage and our money, I was going to make sure I had all the information I needed to protect myself. First thing I did was call my buddy Matthew, who works in HR at this big corporation downtown. We went to college together. He's always been straight with me about work stuff. Figured he'd know how corporate policies work better than I would. "Matthew, I need some advice about something. Hypothetically, if someone at a company claimed they were going to a business conference but actually went on vacation, and charged it to personal cards, what would happen? His reaction? Let's just say there was a long enough pause for me to think he might have dropped his phone. What he told me next confirmed what I already suspected. Apparently, lying to your employer about where you are and what you're doing on company time is a huge deal. Doesn't matter if it's your own money. What matters is the deception. According to him, most companies have ethics policies that cover this kind of thing. Misrepresentation alone can be enough for immediate termination. So, yeah, that whole business conference lie? Turns out, if her employer finds out she was actually sipping smoothies by the beach with another guy, they wouldn't exactly pat her on the back for work-life balance. I sent him the Instagram screenshot, the one with the geotag, the one where she's smiling like nothing in the world matters, except, of course, the fact that she stole from our joint account to fund this little getaway. He took one look and said this wasn't just a messy relationship issue. This was a corporate integrity grenade. That's when I asked the real question. If I were to inform her employer about where she actually was during her conference, what would that mean for me? Was it even legal? He didn't sugarcoat it. Sharing factual information isn't illegal. You're not blackmailing. You're not slandering. You're presenting receipts. And if her employer has a shred of a compliance department, they'll know exactly what to do with it. He gave me some advice about documenting everything. Screenshots, credit card statements, dates, and times. Said if I was going to go this route, I needed to be thorough and professional about it. Next call was to my dad. He's been married to my mom for 30 years, been through ups and downs, always gives me solid advice about relationship stuff. Plus, he worked in management for most of his career, knows how businesses handle employee problems. Dad, I need to tell you something about Beatrice. It's pretty bad. I explained everything and sent him the screenshot too. My dad's usually pretty calm about everything, but I could hear him getting pissed off on my behalf. Son, I'm sorry this is happening to you, but you need to start protecting yourself legally and financially right now. First thing Monday morning, you call a divorce lawyer. And maybe you should let her employer know what's really going on. You think I should get her fired? I think you should let them know their employee lied about a business trip and is posting vacation pictures with a coworker while claiming to be at a conference. What they do with that information is their decision to make. I asked if that would seem vindictive. Evan, she used your joint money to fund an affair and then posted about it publicly. Being vindictive is the least of your concerns right now. You need to think about protecting yourself. My dad's always been practical about stuff like this. He told me about when one of his employees got caught lying about sick days. Said the company had no choice but to fire him, because if they let it slide, it would set a bad precedent for everyone else. Sunday afternoon, I started doing some research. First thing I looked up was whether there actually was a marketing conference in Miami that weekend. Took me about 10 minutes on Google to find the Miami Digital Marketing Summit that was happening Friday through Sunday. I called their registration office, said I was trying to verify attendance for an employee. Hi, I'm calling to confirm whether someone from our company was registered for your conference this weekend. The name would be Beatrice Wilson, or possibly listed under Cameron Walsh. Let me check our registration database. No, sir. I don't show either of those names registered for this year's conference. Are you sure they were planning to attend our event? Actually, could you send me an email confirming that? For our records? Of course. What's your email address? Got that confirmation email within an hour. Official letterhead, everything. Now I had proof that not only was she not at the conference she claimed to be attending, but she'd never even registered for it. The rest of Sunday I spent documenting everything. Printed out all our credit card statements from the past week. Made a timeline of when she told me about the trip versus when the charges actually happened. Saved every Instagram story and post from her Miami vacation. I also started taking screenshots of her location tags and checking them against the conference schedule. The conference was supposed to be at the Miami Convention Center. Her Instagram posts were tagged at South Beach restaurants, beach clubs, and tourist spots. None of them anywhere near the convention center. Monday, I called in sick to work. Told my foreman I had a family emergency and needed the day to handle some personal stuff. Wasn't lying. This definitely qualified as a family emergency. First stop was meeting with a divorce lawyer my dad recommended. He specializes in infidelity cases. Brought all my evidence in a folder and laid it out on his conference table. Mr. Wilson, this is one of the more clear-cut cases I've seen recently. Adultery, financial deception, breach of marital trust. The fact that she used marital assets to fund this affair while lying about her whereabouts is particularly damaging to her position. What are my options? Depends what you want to accomplish. If you want to file for divorce on grounds of adultery, this evidence is more than sufficient. The financial aspect, using joint funds for an affair, gives us additional leverage in asset division. Then I asked about her job situation. That's separate from the divorce proceedings. As her spouse, you have every right to share factual information about her activities. If her employer chooses to take action based on that information, that's their decision. It could actually work in your favor during divorce proceedings if she becomes unemployed due to her own misconduct. He had me sign a retainer agreement and said he'd start preparing preliminary paperwork. Told me to keep documenting everything and avoid confronting her directly until we had a strategy in place. After the lawyer meeting, I spent some time researching Beatrice's company online, found their website, looked up their leadership team, found their employee handbook posted in their careers section. Their ethics policy was pretty clear. Employees are expected to maintain honesty and integrity in all professional activities. Misrepresentation of work activities or abuse of company time and resources may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. I found the HR director's contact information, looked her up on LinkedIn, saw she'd been with the company for 8 years, and had experience handling employee misconduct issues. Spent about an hour crafting an email to her. Had to strike the right tone, factual and professional, not emotional or vindictive. Wanted to present the information clearly and let them draw their own conclusions. I'm writing to inform you of a situation involving 2 of your employees that I believe warrants your attention. Last week, Beatrice Wilson and Cameron Walsh claimed to be attending a business conference in Miami from Friday through Monday. However, I have evidence that no such conference attendance occurred, and they instead went on a personal vacation together while representing to your company that they were conducting business travel. I'm attaching several pieces of documentation to support this information. Screenshots of social media posts from their trip, clearly showing leisure activities at tourist locations. Confirmation from the Miami Digital Marketing Summit that neither employee was registered for the conference. Evidence of their actual activities and locations during the time they claim to be in business meetings. I want to be clear that I have no personal interest in your company's employment decisions. However, I felt you deserved to know the factual circumstances of what occurred during what was represented as business travel. Please let me know if you need any additional information to verify these details. Sincerely, Evan Wilson. Sent that email around 3 p.m. Monday afternoon. By 4 p.m., my phone started buzzing. First text from Beatrice. Evan, why is my boss asking me about Instagram posts? What did you do? I didn't respond. Figured whatever conversation we were going to have, it should happen in person when she got home. Then Cameron started calling. I didn't even know this guy had my number, but apparently Beatrice gave it to him. Left me a voicemail. Dude, this is Cameron from Beatrice's work. I don't know what's going on, but the director just called us both into a meeting about Miami. This is really messed up if you're trying to cause problems at our job over relationship stuff. Still didn't answer. Let them sweat it out. Around 6 p.m., I got a call from the director herself. Mr. Wilson, this is Linda from Beatrice's company. I wanted to call and thank you for bringing this situation to our attention. We take employee integrity very seriously here. I just thought you should know the facts about what happened. We've conducted a preliminary investigation based on the information you provided, and we'll be meeting with both employees first thing Tuesday morning. I want you to know that we appreciate you coming forward with this information. The next day, Beatrice called me directly instead of texting. I almost didn't answer but figured I should hear what kind of story she was planning to tell me. The conversation was exactly what I expected. Her trying to frame everything as networking and professional development, while getting increasingly defensive about why HR was treating it like misconduct. She kept insisting that they did attend networking events and meet other marketing professionals at the places they went. Like somehow going to tourist restaurants and beach clubs counted as business activities if you talked to strangers about work. The mental gymnastics were impressive but also pathetic. She was still trying to maintain this fiction that their romantic vacation was actually professional development. The really telling part was when she mentioned that Cameron's girlfriend had already broken up with him because someone sent her the Instagram posts. So this guy had been cheating on his girlfriend the same way Beatrice was cheating on me. And apparently word was already spreading around their office because coworkers were forwarding social media posts to people's significant others. The whole thing was turning into workplace drama that everyone could see. When I pointed out that she had posted a picture calling Cameron her adventure partner, she tried to dismiss it as just a fun caption, like putting heart emojis and calling another man your adventure partner while on a romantic beach vacation was somehow innocent workplace banter. The level of gaslighting was unreal. She hung up on me when I wouldn't agree that I was overreacting. About an hour later, she called back crying, begging me to call her HR director and tell them it was all a misunderstanding. She wanted me to lie and say they were doing legitimate work activities and that I had misunderstood what was happening, basically asking me to help cover up her affair and save her job after she'd betrayed our marriage. Beatrice was supposed to land around 6 p.m., but didn't get home until after 8. I left work early to prepare for whatever conversation we were going to have. When she finally walked in, she looked like she'd just gotten back from a spa vacation. Tan, relaxed, carrying shopping bags from expensive Miami boutiques. Seeing her stroll through our front door after 4 days of lying to my face while spending our money on another man was surreal. Like watching a complete stranger who happened to look like my wife. She tried to act casual at first, talking about how educational the conference was and how much she learned about marketing trends. Even after getting grilled by HR for hours, even after I clearly knew what really happened, she was still trying to sell me this conference story. The commitment to the lie was almost impressive. I asked to see her conference materials: name badge, agenda, business cards from networking contacts, basic stuff you'd have from any legitimate business event. She got this deer in headlights look and said she left everything in her work bag, another lie on top of all the others. When I showed her the Instagram screenshot, her face went completely white, like all the blood just drained out of it. She tried to explain it away as a work dinner with potential clients, but her voice was shaking. Then I showed her our credit card charges, and she tried claiming the company would reimburse them later. Then I showed her the email from the conference organizers confirming she was never registered. Each piece of evidence backed her further into a corner, but she kept trying to lie her way out. Said maybe there were multiple conferences happening, and she attended a different one. When I asked which conference, she couldn't even come up with a name. Just said she'd have to check her notes. It was pathetic watching someone I'd been married to for 2 years scramble for increasingly desperate excuses. Finally, she dropped the conference story entirely and tried a different approach. She admitted they spent time together in Miami, but insisted they were just friends doing professional development in a relaxed environment. Then she flipped it around and started calling me paranoid and controlling for tracking our joint spending and checking her social media. The gaslighting was incredible. She'd stolen our money for a romantic vacation, posted about it publicly, lied to my face for days, and now I was the problem for catching her. She said I didn't trust her, didn't support her career ambitions, and didn't understand modern professional networking. Like cheating on your spouse was somehow a legitimate business strategy. Then she went for the throat and attacked my job. Said some people were trying to advance their careers instead of just showing up to construction sites every day doing basic work, using my paycheck to fund her affair while simultaneously putting down how I earned it. That's when I knew there was absolutely nothing left to save in our marriage. I told her to pack a bag and stay somewhere else for the night. She tried one last manipulation attempt, asking me not to overreact and saying we could work through this if I just listened to reason. But there was no reasoning with someone who'd lie that extensively and then blame me for discovering the lies. She packed her stuff and left for her parents' house around 10 p.m. The house felt different after she left. Quieter, but also cleaner somehow, like removing a source of toxicity from the air. For the first time in days, I could think clearly about what needed to happen next. Wednesday morning, I woke up in my own house for the first time in months, feeling like I could actually breathe. No tiptoeing around someone's mood, no wondering what lies I was going to discover that day. Just silence and coffee, and the ability to think clearly about what came next. Had the best night's sleep I'd gotten since this whole thing started. I was planning to go to work and try to focus on the renovation project, but around 8:30 a.m., I got a call from Linda at Beatrice's company. She said they'd completed their investigation and wanted to inform me about their decision since I was the one who brought the situation to their attention. The conversation was brief, but satisfying. She explained that after reviewing all the evidence I provided plus conducting their own interviews, they determined that both employees had violated multiple company policies. Misrepresenting work activities, lying about business travel, using company time for personal activities, and conducting themselves in a manner that reflected poorly on the organization's professional standards. Both terminations were effective immediately. They weren't even allowed back in the building to clean out their desks. Security would pack up their personal items and mail them later. Linda thanked me again for bringing the situation to their attention and said they take employee integrity very seriously. I thanked her for handling it professionally and hung up feeling like justice had actually been served for once. These two thought they could lie to everyone around them without consequences. Turns out actions actually do have results in the real world. About 20 minutes later, my phone started exploding. First, it was Beatrice calling from her parents' house, absolutely hysterical, screaming about how I destroyed her career, how Cameron was unemployed too, how everyone at the company knew what happened and she'd never be able to show her face there again. The desperation in her voice was something I'd never heard before. She kept yelling about how I'd ruined her life over jealousy and insecurity, how I couldn't handle her having male friends or advancing her career. The mental gymnastics were incredible. She was still trying to frame her affair as professional networking and my response as controlling behavior. Even after losing her job for lying about it, she couldn't admit what she'd actually done. Then Cameron started calling. He left multiple voicemails, each one angrier than the last. First one was trying to be reasonable, saying I was destroying people's careers over relationship problems, and this was between me and Beatrice. By the third voicemail, he was calling me a psychopath and threatening to show up at my job site. The guy had the nerve to act like I was the villain in this situation. He'd helped my wife lie to her husband and her employer, used our money to fund their romantic vacation, and posted about it publicly. But somehow I was the bad guy for telling the truth about what happened. The complete lack of accountability was mind-blowing. By noon, the calls and texts were constant. Beatrice alternating between rage and begging, Cameron sending increasingly threatening messages, and then her family started getting involved. Her mom called first, and that conversation went about as well as you'd expect. She'd clearly gotten Beatrice's version of events, where I was a controlling monster who sabotaged her daughter's career out of spite. According to her mom, I should have handled this privately within our marriage, instead of involving Beatrice's employer. She said real husbands protect their wives instead of destroying them, and that I lacked compassion and understanding about young people making mistakes. Somehow using our joint money to fund an affair with a coworker while lying about business travel was just a mistake that young people make. But me telling her employer the truth about where she actually was during company time made me a vindictive monster. The family clearly had no idea what Beatrice had actually done. Her dad called later that afternoon and was even worse. He'd apparently been stewing about this all day and was ready to go to war on his daughter's behalf. Started talking about how marriage is about forgiveness and working through problems together. How destroying someone's livelihood over a relationship issue was cruel and immature. When I tried to explain that she'd committed fraud and adultery, he brushed it off as young people figuring out their lives. Said Beatrice was devastated and I should be ashamed of myself for kicking her while she was down. The man genuinely seemed to believe that consequences for lying and cheating were somehow unfair. The really wild part was when he started threatening to call my boss and tell him what kind of person I really was. Like he was going to get me fired in retaliation for his daughter losing her job due to her own misconduct. I told him if he wanted to call my foreman and explain how his daughter stole money for a vacation with another man, he was welcome to do that. Around 3 p.m., I got a text from Beatrice saying she was coming to get more of her stuff and we needed to talk. I told her I'd be at work until 6 and she could come by after that, but I wasn't interested in any more conversations about misunderstandings or professional development. She said she'd be there at 7. Beatrice showed up right at 7 p.m. with her mom in tow for moral support. That should have been my first warning that this wasn't going to be a rational conversation. Her mom immediately started in on how disappointed she was in my behavior and how I'd hurt their entire family by being vindictive. Beatrice looked like she'd been crying all day. She tried one more time to convince me that the Miami trip was legitimate professional development and that I'd overreacted by involving her employer. Even after losing her job for it, she was still committed to this absurd story. When I showed her mom the Instagram screenshot and explained about the fake conference, the credit card charges, and the lies to her employer, there was this long silence. I could see her mom's brain trying to process the fact that her daughter had actually committed fraud and adultery, not just made some innocent mistake about professional boundaries. But instead of acknowledging reality, her mom doubled down on defending Beatrice. Said young people use social media differently, and I shouldn't read so much into captions and pictures. That Beatrice was just trying to advance her career, and I was threatened by her ambition. The mental gymnastics were incredible to watch in real time. Beatrice spent about an hour packing more clothes and personal items, while her mom lectured me about forgiveness and second chances. When they finally left, Beatrice made one last attempt at manipulation. She said she still loved me and wanted to work things out if I could just get past my insecurity and trust issues. That we could go to counseling and rebuild our relationship if I was willing to forgive this one mistake. I told her the mistake wasn't going to Miami with Cameron. The mistake was marrying someone who would steal money for an affair and then lie about it to everyone involved. Someone who would attack my character and my career when she got caught. Someone who would bring her mother to lecture me about forgiveness while refusing to take responsibility for any of her actions. That's when she finally broke down and started sobbing. Not because she felt guilty about what she'd done, but because she was realizing that her manipulation tactics weren't working and there were going to be real consequences for her choices. She asked what was going to happen to us, and I told her my lawyer would be in touch about divorce proceedings. I immediately called a locksmith to change all the locks. Cost me $200, but it was worth every penny for the peace of mind. Also called my lawyer to update him on the day's events and get his advice on next steps. He said everything was proceeding exactly as expected, and the fact that she'd lost her job due to misconduct would actually strengthen our position in divorce proceedings. Her becoming unemployed because of her own ethical violations, rather than economic circumstances, would affect spousal support calculations in my favor. Wednesday night, I finally felt like I had control over my own life again. Beatrice was out of the house, the locks were changed, her employer had handled the situation appropriately, and divorce proceedings were moving forward. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't wondering what lie I was going to discover next, or what manipulation I'd have to deal with. The nuclear option had worked exactly as intended. The property division should be straightforward since we don't have kids, and most of our assets are easily documented. Her becoming unemployed due to ethical violations, rather than economic circumstances, works against her for any spousal support claims. Hard to argue you deserve financial support when you lost your job for lying to your employer. Found out through mutual friends that Cameron's situation imploded even worse than hers. His girlfriend dumped him immediately when she saw the Instagram posts, and apparently she'd been supporting him financially while he was trying to build his marketing career. Lost his job, his relationship, and his financial stability all in 1 week. Beatrice is living with her parents and working at some retail job while she looks for another marketing position. Turns out lying about business conferences and posting vacation pictures with coworkers doesn't look great on your professional reputation. The marketing community in our city is pretty small, and word gets around quickly about misconduct issues. Sometimes the trash really does take itself out. You just have to be smart enough to let it happen and not try to clean it up yourself.